All right, we're moving further into fade to black right now. I want to talk about one more thing on this riff here. We got. Okay, a lot of times it'll go from that 4 to that 4 there, and then the harmony was. Okay, now sometimes it'll go to that 5 right there. So listen for that. So there's a kind of couple different ways it happens. So yeah, that's a different way. Okay, now we're moving into this new riff here. We got. And then the solo starts. So let's look at that riff there. We got 2 on the 5th string and then 4 on the D. So we got 2 on the D. Now we're on the A string, 5, 4, 2, 5, 2 on the big one. So all together we got. And then we got the 5 bass, same riff down here. 3 bass, same riff. Back to 5. Okay, and then the lead starts. So let's look at that one more time. 3, 4. Okay, so that's our first little bit we're going to look at. So when the solo starts, we have 2 and 4 to the 5 to the 4. So we got. And then you're going to slide with the ring finger up into that 9th fret of the D string. You're going to go to the 7 on the G, and then. So it's like 4 bends on that 9. Pull off to that 9, and then we're going to go 9, 7. And then we're going to hammer this 7 to 8. 3 times of that. And then we're going to have 10, 8, 10. So that was like little triplets. Okay, so I'll play all that again. We got. So we got a tricky riff there. And then we get into this fast, repetitive lick. So it starts with a bend on the 9 to that 7, 7. And then we're going to have a pull off 10. And then we start going. So you can do this a variety of ways. You could pick it all or whatever, you kind of rake across. I'm kind of using that ring finger in there to get that high note. So it ends up getting into a. So it's the bend, the little string, and then the pull off on the second. Then we get into a riff. There's a pull off on this 10 to 7. We're going to have. Okay, so it's 1 pull off, and then to the lower 10 and back, and then a double pull off thing. So. See that? So it's 1 pull off, and then 2 sets of 2s, kind of is what's happening. And then we do the exact same thing again. Okay, so let's look at everything so far. We got. let's look at that lead one more time. We got. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. So we have this 2 bends on this 10, pull off, and then we're going to go into triplets. So that was. Okay, so take that all nice and slow. And then more triplets. So that one goes all the way down to that 6 there. Now we're going up. So one more time on that. So that was the last 4 notes, or a little faster, so it's. So you're bending those 9s there on the G string. Have some kind of a fast thing there, and you end up on this 7 after going to that low 9. And then kind of have a. Kind of do that octave, little 10 there. And you got 3 bends in this 10. That's going to be 10 to 7 to 9. And then 7, 8. And then hammer on, pull off. So. And then we get into triplets. Okay, so starting on that 9 of the G. And that shows you why you should be practicing those exercises in these pentatonics, right? So here we're going to go 12 to start out this new phrase. We're going to go. So it's like a pickup note there. Da, dee, da. So we got. So we start with the 12 in the 2nd string, and then pull off. 12, 12 at the end, and then. So we got to keep these barred. We're going to go. So we got a double pull off there. And then we do the whole thing again. Okay, so the whole thing ends up being like. Okay, then we get into a 17, 14, and 15 little triad. We got. Okay, so it's like 8 sets of that. Now we're going to move to this 19, 15, and 17. We're going to have a. So the first one is just a single pull off to the lower note, and then we have a double and a double. So. And then we do that exactly again. Now we're going to jump to the 21, 17, and 19. We're going to go. So it's 8 sets of that. Then we're going to have this highest note, 22. So bend, 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 bend. and then 20 to 19, 22 to 19. Then we're gonna go down in triplets. So all the way down into that area down there. So once again, those triplets, we got the bend. So the end of that thing is gonna go. It ends with like a boom, boom, ba-da. And then we're gonna have all kind of manner of that kind of thing. Listen to it and kind of figure that out. It kind of changes its bend as it goes, and then it kind of ends with a. So you got 8 sets of that. You're bending that 10 up and down and pulling it off to the 7 on the second string. Now you got a fast one here we got, and it's fading out here, so you don't really have to kind of play all this, but it's kind of a fun riff at the end here we got. So that's a lot of stuff here we got. That's the first kind of measure. So real slow. Then the next measure goes. So let's look at that one. And then the end of this thing when it's fading out is. So that was 9 to 12 in the D. A couple 9s here, and then 11 to 14. So that whole thing. Now the end of this. So we have kind of similar to the things before. We had a 1 pull off, and then back up, and then double, double. And we're gonna end with. So that's 15 on the second with the 14 on the G string, bending it. And then if you heard the fade go all the way to the end, I guess it ends with. So that was 2, 4, 2, 5, 4, 2, 5, 2. B power chord there. Okay, Fade to Black, Metallica. Hope you all dug that. We'll talk to you soon.